The Galactic Council hall was silent. Hundreds of alien leaders watched the blue world floating on the massive screen. Earth looked small compared to the great empires of the galaxy. Its ships were few. Its borders were thin. Its people were young. To the Council, humans were nothing special. They are emotional, one elder said. They fight each other, said another. They waste time on art and stories, a third added. The final judgment was simple. Humans were not a threat. For decades, the galaxy had watched humanity rise slowly. Too slowly. While other species built star fortresses and planet shields, humans focused on trade, science, and diplomacy. Their fleets were small and outdated. Their weapons were weak by galactic standards. So when the Car Dominion began to take human colonies, no one stopped them. One by one, human worlds went dark. There were no large battles, no heroic last stands. Human ships retreated or surrendered. Entire systems fell in days. The Car commanders laughed as they advanced. Humans break easily, they said. The Galactic Council agreed. Earth sent no threats, no cries for help, no final warnings. Just silence. That silence confused some observers, but most ignored it. Weak species often went quiet before extinction. It was nothing new. But far away from the Council and the Car fleets, deep in uncharted space, human observers watched everything. They did not panic. They did not argue. They waited. Inside a hidden command chamber buried within an asteroid, human leaders studied glowing star maps. Red markers showed lost colonies. Blue markers showed enemy fleets moving closer to Earth. No one spoke of surrender. Instead, a single question echoed through the room. Is it time? A gray-haired woman finally nodded. Her voice was calm. Yes, begin phase final. The room changed instantly. Screens activated. Long silent systems came online. Signals traveled across space using channels no alien scanners could detect. In the darkness between stars, something ancient stirred. At the edge of a dead system, a lonely planet drifted in silence. It had no sun, no life, no energy readings. To alien charts, it was useless. Then the planet moved. Not fast, not loud, but on purpose. Deep beneath its surface, structures awakened. Massive engines that had slept for centuries began to glow. The planet's crust shifted, opening like metal plates. Energy readings spiked, far beyond normal limits. Human engineers watched the data in silence. The numbers were correct. The impossible was real. The planet was not a planet. It was a ship. At the same moment, across dozens of empty systems, similar readings appeared. Hidden worlds began to wake. Dead planets aligned themselves toward distant stars. The galaxy did not notice. Yet. Meanwhile, the Car Dominion prepared the final push toward Earth. Their fleets were massive, stretching across space like a metal storm. Victory was certain. At least that was what they believed. A Car admiral stared at Earth on his screen. This species had potential, he said, but they chose weakness. Behind him, officers laughed. They had no idea. Back on Earth, cities continued their daily life. People went to work. Children went to school. The skies were calm. There were no panic broadcasts, no visible defenses. But deep beneath Earth's surface, beyond oceans and stone, something older than fear waited. Humanity had never planned to win early wars. They had planned to survive the last one. As alien fleets crossed the final boundary, a human signal was sent. Short, quiet, and impossible to trace. Across the void, planet-sized shadows answered. For the first time in galactic history, entire planets began to move. The first warning came too late. At the edge of Car-controlled space, a long-range scanner ship detected something strange. The readings did not match any known engine, weapon, or star phenomenon. The signal was slow, heavy, and deep, like space itself was breathing. The Car officers dismissed it. Sensor error, they said. Background radiation, others agreed. The ship was ordered to continue its patrol. Minutes later, the signal grew stronger. Then the scanner ship vanished. No explosion, no debris, no final message. It simply disappeared. When the report reached the Car admiral, he felt a brief moment of discomfort, but he pushed it away. The galaxy was full of strange accidents. One lost ship meant nothing. The invasion of human space continued. More human systems fell, but something was wrong. There were no desperate counterattacks, no hidden fleets. Humans were retreating too cleanly, too calmly. Alien commanders expected chaos. Instead, they found order. Human evacuation routes were perfect. Supply lines were empty before attacks even began. It was as if humans knew exactly where the car fleets would strike. "That is not fear," one car officer whispered. "That is planning." The admiral ignored him. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council chamber, the strange reports began to pile up. Missing scout ships, unknown energy spikes in dead systems, entire star charts becoming unreliable. A junior analyst finally spoke. "These readings are massive," she said carefully. "Larger than fleet reactors, larger than space stations." "How large?" an elder asked. She hesitated. "Planet scale." The chamber erupted in laughter. "That is impossible," an elder said. "No species builds weapons that large," and another replied. "Especially not humans." The council voted to ignore the data. But the silence continued to spread. More car ships vanished near human space. Communications delays increased. Even hyperspace routes began to feel unstable, as if something heavy was pulling at them. Car engineers worked day and night. Nothing made sense. Then came the images. A deep space probe, old and forgotten, drifted through an empty system. By chance, its camera activated. It captured a single image before shutting down forever. The image showed a dark world, cold, cracked, lifeless, and behind it, faint lights glowing under the surface. The probe's last data packet reached the galactic network hours later. The council watched the image in silence. No one laughed this time. Back in human-controlled shadows, the watchers remained calm. Inside a massive underground command center on Earth, rows of officers monitored glowing symbols. Each symbol represented something enormous, something alive with power. Human commanders spoke softly. "Activation status? Phase final is proceeding. How many have awakened?" "Enough." One young officer looked nervous. "What if the galaxy strikes first?" he asked. An older commander answered without looking up. "They already did." In distant space, the first of the war planets adjusted its course. It moved slowly, bending gravity around it. Stars near its path dimmed slightly as if afraid. Alien sensors screamed warnings. This time the car Dominion could not ignore it. Entire fleets stopped advancing. "What is that thing?" an officer demanded. The object was larger than their largest battle station, larger than moons. Its surface looked like stone, but it moved with purpose. Weapons locked onto it. Nothing happened. No shields appeared, no counterfire. Then space twisted. A single pulse expanded outward, not fast, not loud, but absolute. 3 car fleets went dark at once. Their power systems shut down. Their ships drifted helplessly, silent and cold. The galaxy froze. Messages flooded the council. "This is not a ship. It is a world. We cannot fight this." For the first time, the words human technology were spoken with fear. And deep in the dark, more planet-sized shadows began to move. The storm had not arrived yet, but the galaxy could finally feel it coming. Fear spread faster than any fleet. Across the galaxy, military channels filled with confusion. Old rules no longer worked. Power readings broke every known scale. Maps had to be redrawn because gravity itself was changing. And at the center of it all were humans. The Galactic Council reconvened an emergency session. No speeches, no jokes. Only raw data floated in the air between them. Planet-sized objects, artificial gravity cores, energy signatures older than most civilizations. An elder finally asked the question no one wanted to say aloud. "How long have humans been building this?" No one had an answer. While the galaxy searched for truth, humanity did not hide it anymore. A message was sent, clear, open, and calm. It reached every major civilization at once, no threats, no demands. Only history. The message showed images from Earth's past. Old wars, broken cities, burned skies. Humanity had nearly destroyed itself long before it reached the stars. They learned one lesson early. Never fight for pride, never fight for glory. Only prepare to survive. Humans had seen what fast wars did. They had lost millions to them. So when they reached space, they made a different choice. They pretended to be weak. Their fleets were small by design. Their colonies looked fragile on purpose. They let others believe humans were divided, slow, and unready. But behind the scenes, humanity worked quietly. They did not build bigger guns. They built time. They hollowed dead planets. They filled them with layered cities, deep reactors, and ancient machines powered by stars captured long ago. Each world was built slowly, over generations, so slowly that no one noticed. These were not weapons meant to attack first. They were weapons meant to end wars forever. Back on Earth, the underground command center felt heavy with responsibility. Human leaders watched the galaxy react exactly as predicted. Panic, fear, confusion. A civilian advisor spoke softly. "If we reveal everything, they will fear us forever." A general answered calmly. "They already do. Now they will also understand." In alien space, the Car Dominion struggled to regain control. Their disabled fleets drifted like metal graves. Engineers could not restart the systems. Every command failed. The Car Admiral stared at the massive object blocking hyperspace. "That thing is not attacking," he said slowly. "It is waiting." That scared him more than any weapon. Suddenly, the planet ship transmitted a signal. Not an attack, not a threat. A map. It showed every car fleet position, every supply line, every hidden base. Perfect knowledge. The message that followed was simple. "We see you." The car leadership broke. Some demanded total retreat. Others called for forbidden weapons, ancient devices that could shatter stars. They launched one. The weapon reached its target system and activated. Nothing happened. The star dimmed but did not explode. A shadow moved in front of it. One of the human war planets absorbed the energy like rain hitting stone. That was the moment the galaxy understood. Humans had not built defenses. They had built certainty. The Galactic Council watched the event in silence. One elder lowered his head. "We were wrong," he said. "We thought silence meant weakness." Another replied with fear in his voice. "No, silence meant preparation." Across the void, more war planets aligned themselves. Not toward cities, not toward worlds. They positioned themselves between civilizations. Like walls, like guardians. The human message ended with a final line. "We do not seek conquest, but we will never be hunted again." For the first time, the galaxy did not see humans as victims. They saw them as something far more dangerous, a species that planned beyond lifetimes, beyond fear, beyond war itself. And the truth settled into every alien mind. Humanity had not joined the galactic game. They had rewritten its ending. The galaxy had seen war before. Stars had burned. Civilizations had fallen. Entire species had vanished. But nothing like this. When the human war planets moved into open space, time itself seemed to slow. They did not rush. They did not chase enemy fleets. They simply took positions, slow, heavy, and final. Alien commanders felt it instantly. Hyperspace routes collapsed without warning. Gravity wells shifted. Navigation systems failed. Fleets that once moved freely were now trapped in invisible cages. The war planets were not attacking. They were closing the doors. The Car Dominion was the first to break the silence. A full assault fleet jumped in, weapons charged, ancient battle doctrines ready. Thousands of ships formed perfect attack patterns. They fired. Beams, missiles, plasma storms, everything they had, hit the surface of the nearest war planet. The attacks looked powerful. They meant nothing. The planet's surface absorbed the strikes like dust hitting a mountain. The stone cracked, then healed. Energy flowed across the crust and disappeared deep inside. No shield flared. No counterattack followed. The Car Admiral shouted for more fire, more power, more everything. Then the war planet responded. It did not shoot a weapon. It changed gravity. Space twisted around the car fleet. Ships drifted out of formation. Hulls bent. Smaller vessels were crushed instantly, folded like paper by invisible hands. Larger ships tried to escape. There was nowhere to go. One by one, entire fleets fell silent, not destroyed but disabled. Frozen in space, alive but helpless. The galaxy watched in horror. This was not battle. This was control. In another system, an allied empire tried a different approach. They launched stealth weapons, cloaked attacks, and time-delayed strikes. The war planets adjusted. Their surfaces shifted, revealing deep lines that glowed with starfire. Space around them became heavy, slow, thick. The attacks never reached their targets. They simply stopped. Human commanders observed everything without celebration. A young officer whispered, "We're winning." A senior commander corrected him. "No, we're ending it." Across the galaxy, panic spread. Old enemies stopped fighting each other. Fleets turned back home. Borders closed. Ancient rivalries no longer mattered. Everyone was afraid of the same thing. The humans. The Galactic Council sent emergency signals to Earth, begging for negotiation. The human response was immediate but calm. The war planets shifted again. They moved away from population centers, away from trade routes. They placed themselves only near military fleets and invasion paths. A clear message. We are not here to rule. Then came the final test. The Car Dominion, desperate and proud, activated its last weapon. A device banned for thousands of years, a star killer. If fired, it would destroy an entire system, human war planet included. The weapon powered up. Energy levels climbed beyond reason. Human commanders watched in silence. Do we stop it? Someone asked. The answer came after a pause. No, let them see. The star killer fired. The beam struck the war planet directly. For a moment, even humans held their breath. Then the war planet opened. Its crust separated, revealing a core brighter than a star. The beam vanished into it, absorbed, broken, erased. The war planet closed again. The star remained. The weapon was gone. The Car Dominion surrendered minutes later. Across the galaxy, fleets powered down. Weapons went cold. Messages of ceasefire flooded every channel. The war planet stopped moving. They did not chase fleeing ships. They did not destroy defeated enemies. They simply waited. Humanity had shown enough. Every civilization now understood the truth. If humans ever chose conquest, there would be no defense. And because of that, they never needed to choose it. The war was over, but the silence that followed was heavier than any battle. The war did not end with an explosion. It ended with fear. Across the galaxy, fleets stopped moving. Generals who once shouted orders now whispered. Military channels went silent, not because systems failed, but because no one knew what to say. The Car Dominion signed its surrender without conditions. Not after a long debate, not after negotiations. They surrendered because they understood something simple and terrible. There was no winning against humans. The document was transmitted to Earth, the Galactic Council, and every major power at the same time. It contained no demands, only one sentence. We accept that resistance is meaningless. The Galactic Council collapsed into chaos. Some members demanded punishment for humanity, calling them a hidden danger. Others demanded protection, begging humans to become guardians of the galaxy. But the humans did neither. They waited. On Earth, the command center was quiet. Officers stared at the symbols representing the war planets. All were still active. All were waiting for orders. A civilian leader finally spoke. If we push now, the galaxy is ours. No one answered. Another leader shook his head slowly. If we rule through fear, we become what we prepared against. Humanity had learned this lesson long ago, back when their own cities burned under their own weapons. They would not repeat it. A new message was sent from Earth. Short, calm, clear. The war is over. Our weapons will sleep again. But remember what woke them. The war planets began to move. Slowly, carefully, they returned to deep space. Some sank into dead systems. Others drifted into the dark between galaxies. One by one, their energy signatures faded. The galaxy exhaled. But the damage was already done. Military doctrines became useless overnight. Fortresses meant nothing. Fleet size meant nothing. Speed meant nothing. Only one truth remained. If humans ever chose to fight again, no one could stop them. The Car Dominion changed overnight. Generals were removed. Admirals were arrested. Their empire shrank not by force but by fear of provoking humans again. Other empires followed. Borders were redrawn peacefully. Long wars ended without a single shot. Ancient enemies signed treaties they had rejected for centuries. Not because they trusted each other, because they feared humans more. On distant worlds, children asked new questions in school. Why don't we attack weaker species? Why do we need peace? The answer was always the same. Because humans are watching. The Galactic Council rewrote its laws. New rules were added: no preemptive invasions, no extermination wars, no silent conquests. Every law had an unspoken reason. Earth. Some council members hated this. Others felt relief. One elder said quietly, the galaxy needed a monster that chose not to be one. Back on Earth, life returned to normal. Cities stayed bright. People argued about small things again. Most humans would never see the war planets or understand their scale. That was intentional. Human leaders buried the records deep. Not erased, but protected. Power was dangerous. Being known for power was worse. In a private chamber, a young officer asked a question that had been bothering him. What if they forget? What if the galaxy challenges us again? The commander looked at the stars on the screen. They won't forget, he said. We didn't win by destroying them. We won by letting them imagine what we could do. Far away in alien space, a former Car admiral stared into the void. His empire was smaller now, weaker, but still alive. He whispered to no one. They were never weak. They were patient. The galaxy had broken, but not into chaos. It broke into caution, into silence, into peace built on a single shared memory. The day planets moved and chose to stop. Time passed. At first, the galaxy expected humanity to change. Many believed the humans would demand tribute, claim territory, or place war planets above important worlds. They did none of that. Months turned into years. Years turned into decades. The war planets remained silent. They did not patrol borders. They did not hover over capitals. They did not speak. They simply existed, far away, hidden, waiting. And because of that, everything changed. Small species began to grow without fear. Trade routes reopened. Old enemies stopped preparing for war and started preparing for tomorrow instead. Pirate fleets vanished. Slaver empires collapsed. Not because humans attacked them, but because no one dared to become a reason for the war planets to wake again. Humanity became something new in galactic history. Not rulers. Not conquerors. A line no one dared to cross. On Earth, life remained ordinary. People argued, loved, failed, and dreamed. Most humans never knew the full truth. They saw the galaxy as dangerous but distant. That was how the leaders wanted it. Power stayed hidden. In a quiet observatory on Earth, an old commander watched the stars. He had helped activate the war planets years ago. Now his hair was white, his hand slow. A young officer stood beside him. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Showing the galaxy what we built?" The old man smiled softly. "No," he said, "I regret that we had to." She looked at the stars. "What if they rise against us one day?" He shook his head. "They won't. Not because they fear our weapons, but because they saw we chose restraint." Far away at the Galactic Council, a new generation of leaders gathered. Humans were given a permanent seat, but they rarely spoke. When they did, it was short, clear, calm. Their words carried weight not because of threat, but because of memory. One elder addressed the chamber. "The humans could have ruled us," he said. "They chose to protect balance instead." Another replied quietly, "Because they know what happens when balance breaks." In deep space, one war planet drifted near a dying star. Its surface was cracked and dark. Inside, machines slept. Entire cities lay empty, preserved for a war that might never come. That was the true human weapon, not destruction. Patience. The galaxy learned a final lesson. Strength is loud, power is obvious, but control is silent, and humans had mastered silence. On a distant alien world, a child looked up at the night sky and asked her parent a simple question. "Are humans dangerous?" The parent thought carefully before answering. "Yes," they said, "but only if you give them no other choice." The stars continued to burn. The war planets continued to sleep. And somewhere in the dark between galaxies, humanity waited. Not for war, but for a future where they would never need to wake their final weapons again. Because the greatest victory humanity ever achieved was teaching the galaxy that peace was no longer optional. It was necessary. And so the story ended not with fire or conquest, but with a quiet truth that echoed across the stars. They thought humans were weak. They were wrong. Humans were merciful.